Smita, you in brief run-up to this conversation, we were talking of countries that are naturally more happy, happier.
Correct.
Sort of
Correct.
somehow Scandinavia landing at the top, Finland,
Yes.
Denmark, Sweden. So
Absolutely.
what goes on with? Is it that they have a different curriculum? Is it a population issue where they just have more space to themselves and they can climb trees or ski, at leisure?
A lot of combination of factors there because I believe even in terms of what education is, I think their definition of education would be quite different
Right.
from, let's say, a country like India
Right.
or a country like China.
Right.
Because what is education and what is education supposed to do
Right.
or change a person into is something which I'm quite certain they would have looked at from a completely different perspective.
Right.
So if I just, like I said, keep it as a very short synopsis. From my perspective and from my learning, I would say, is that as much as possible, help the child celebrate life. And celebrate life doesn't mean we have to buy things to make them happy. No.
Right.
It could be just spending time with the child.
Right.
Because I grew up in a family environment where there was not an abundance of wealth, but there was an abundance of love.
Right. Likewise. Yes.
And I think that creates a huge impact and self-belief. No matter what teachers, no matter if none of the people around the child see anything special in the child, make sure you see something special in your child.
Right. Right.
In my life, it was my dad.
Right.
No matter every time we would go to parent-teacher meetings and the teacher just shakes her head, he was always so optimistic. He would say, you can do it, you can do it.
Right.
So I think nurturing self-belief, practicing gratitude,
Right.
thanking for every single thing in your life, that is something which the child can also pick up. Nurture creativity. If your child is creative, nurture it. Belief in altruism, helping out people. It doesn't matter who they are. Just stepping in and helping out.
So this is an interesting one, Seetha. I once heard from a friend that he was teaching his child to write to anyone on the planet, even imaginary, a letter of solace, right? You lost your mother or father, these things shouldn't happen, but I'm around for you. Or petting a hurt animal or something like that. All that, I think, builds up compassion and a sense of connectedness.
But what I would suggest is allow the child to be a part of the charity activities that you do.
Right.
You don't have to tell your child, help people, help people. Let the child see you help people.
Right.
Like for example, even in someone we know in India,
Right.
we found out that the lady's husband contracted AIDS and passed away.
Right.
And everyone was just literally standing idle and wondering, oh, it's such a pity, such a pity. But my dad just stepped in and had started helping out the family.
Correct.
So in other words, you don't have to wait to be called. If you're able to just help out, and your child will see that.
And I like this great insight you're giving us, because action actually speaks louder than words in some ways, right? And you can put all this in the curriculum and tell children how to be grateful and joyful and write an essay. But that's different from seeing it up close and personal.
Absolutely. And I think apart from, of course, altruism, it's speaking up without fear for the right. Make them fearless in terms of standing up for perhaps someone who's getting hurt or abused.
Right.
So I think that would also help. And spirituality. I'm sure there might be several people in the audience who may not be very comfortable about my next suggestion to make their child happy. But that is, let the child believe that spirituality is not based on religion, but a way of life.
So there's a universal type of consciousness there.
Absolutely. And a huge sense of tolerance as well.
Right.
Because if your actions, thoughts, and your words are resonating with what you can do to help others, what more will God want from us?
Great.
One more after spirituality. I think that point The next one would be teaching happiness through lifestyle and optimism.
Okay.
When I say lifestyle and optimism, I'm talking about when children come to you and say they are bored.
Right.
Get them to find out for themselves what are the things they enjoy doing.
Right.
And how can they probably get better at it.
Right.
Because I think that makes a huge difference. Today, even if it's an 18-hour flight, I'm thrilled.
Right. Right.
Because there'll be always something that I can do at that time which I don't find time otherwise. And the last point would be teaching self-control. I think that the topic we were discussing a little earlier.
Right.
Because when you're teaching children self-control, it becomes a lot more easier for them to say no to things which they believe personally they don't need. It doesn't matter if their friends have it or not.
Right. You also mentioned diet as a point, Seetha. So are you saying it's time we say no to sugar-colored drinks?
Oh, no. In fact, no, not really, not that. Just that, let's just say if you're able to cultivate eating habits,
right,
which are more home-oriented.
Right.